Hey everyone, it's Nitich here. Welcome back to another coding tutorial where we are going to build a dynamic chart component in React using Chart.js. We will learn how to integrate different chart types like line, bar, and pie charts and how to manipulate them based on user input. So here is what we will be doing. First, we will install chart.js, which is a very popular package to build charts and websites. And next, we will create a custom chart hook in our React project to manage our charts. After that, we will build a React component to display our charts and include a dropdown as well, like this one, for selecting different chart types so that we can easily test our React hook. And finally, we will simply test our component. So this is the final product, how it is going to look like. Now let's dive into the code and start to build this project from scratch. Now this is a boilerplate React application and I have already cleared out the app.js component where I will be adding the dropdown input to test our custom hook. Now for our custom hook, the first thing we need is to install the chart.js package. Now to install it, I'm just going to run in the terminal npm install and then chart.js. Now while it is installing, let's start to create our custom hook. So for the hook, I will start by creating a new folder in the src folder with the name hooks, and inside this hooks folder I will create another folder with the name use chart. So let's create a new file with the name index.js. Now first I will create the hook function. So function use chart, and let's also export this function. So export default use chart. Now this chart hook is going to accept a bunch of arguments, which is going to be the chart data, the chart options, and the chart type with the default value of line chart. Let's also import the required packages that we are going to need. So first we will need the use ref and use effect. So let's import them. We will also need to import the chart packages. Now for all the different types of charts that we are going to use, like line, bar, and pie chart, we need to first import them from the chart.js package. So we have to import a bunch of them. So for example, we have to import chart, the line controller, bar controller, pie controller, the different elements, the point element, the title, tooltip, legend, and so on and so forth. So it's truly modular. Whatever dependency you need, you just need to import that one so that your front-end application is not going to download useless charting code when the application loads. When we have imported all of these dependencies, then we need to register them with the chart. So let's do that. Chart.register line controller, bar controller, and so on and so forth. Okay, now within our hook, the first thing that we need to do is to create the refs for first the chart element and then second for chart instance. So what we will be doing is we will be exposing a chart ref which can be attached with any canvas element. When we will do that and when the hook will run, then that canvas element is going to render our chart. It's simple as that. So let's first add the chart ref. Let's also add the chart instance ref with the initial values for null. Now we need to run an effect hooks callback whenever any of these three values changes. So to do that, I'm just going to add the use effect hook callback with the dependency array containing the three values for the data, the options, and for the type. When any of these is going to change, then our chart is going to update. So within our use effect callback, first we need to check if our chart ref dot current is not null, which simply means that the chart ref is attached with an actual element. So if it is not undefined or not null, then we can first check if our chart instance exists or not. If it doesn't exist, then we can simply initialize it, otherwise we can update its values. So I'm just going to add the code for it. So if chart instance is not available, then we can initialize it with a new chart by first providing the reference of the element where the chart needs to render, then the initial values for the type, the data, and the options. If it already exists, then we just need to update it and call the chart instances update function, and that's pretty much everything we need to do. Now let's also you know what, do some cleanup as well. So when this hook will unmount, then we need to destroy this chart instance. So for that, I'm just going to return a new function which is to clean things up. Now what we are going to do is, if chart instance.current is available, then we will simply call its destroy function and we will set it to null as well. And finally, the last thing that we need to do is to return our chart ref to be used into any of the component. Let's also format this code, save it. Now in app.js, I am going to create a very basic form input to be able to use the chart. So for that, first I am going to import the use chart hook, and we will also need to import use state because we will create a new state variable for the chart type. So let's do that. Chart type is going to store the default value of the chart type, which is line, but then it will also be attached with a drop down input. So let's add the basic form functionality. I will not be doing that from scratch because it's just pretty straightforward. So let me just add it. Alright, so this is our select input with the label select chart type. The options are line, chart, bar chart, and pie chart, and the value is the chart type state variable. The onChange event is going to set a new value by calling set chart type. Now let's just add a new div for our canvas element, which is going to render our chart. But before that, let's also initialize the chart reference. So for that, I'm just going to write const chart ref equals to use chart. Now what about the data for our chart? For that, I'm just going to use some mock sales data like this one with labels and sample data sets, colors, and width of the border, etc. So I'm just going to provide this data as an argument for our use chart hook. And for options, I'm not going to provide any for now, but you can provide options if you want to. And then we just need to provide the chart type value from our input. Now let's add the canvas element. So for that, I will first enclose it in a div container. Let's also style this div to set some values like width, height, margin, etc. And now let's add the canvas element. So canvas, and for its ref, I am going to use a chart ref. And that is pretty much everything we need to do. Now let's run this React application and see if our code is working. Now there is an error saying it cannot access chart type before initialization. So let's fix this error. We need to move this initialization before this chart ref. So let's save it. Alright, now we can see the line chart rendering. Now let's change the values for bar chart and pie chart. So it seems like our hook is working perfectly fine. Now you can extend your hook and add more functionalities to it based on your requirements. The best thing I like about the hook approach is the reusability concept. Now you can also create a custom component as well by providing all of these values as props. That is also a perfectly fine way to do things. But I just wanted to show you something alternate. Like normally we don't use hooks for rendering HTML elements, but this can be done by using this pattern where we simply expose a ref from the hook and then we attach or associate that ref with an actual HTML element or with another component in the React component which is actually using the hook. The hook will not contain any actual rendering logic, but it will be able to render stuff by simply using the ref that it is exposing. So yeah, that is something which you can use as well. And that is all there is to build this dynamic chart component in React, guys. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and enjoy coding along with me. If you liked this video and learned something new, then please consider subscribing. It really helps me bring more content like this to you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.